This is a KTM RC390. I think it's one of the very coolest entry-level beginner sport bikes you can get, and in today's video we're going to do a comprehensive review on this machine. I'm going to tell you guys all the specs on this bike, whether or not you should get it, the competitors, and all the features and cool tech you may not know about this bike. Now, a quick note, I'm actually giving away this very KTM RC390, and today is actually the last day you can get entered to win it. Head over to yammynoob.co, pick out anything you want, and every dollar you spend is going to be 10x entries to win this machine right here. So don't miss out. That's going to be a super cool promotion. Now let's get into this bike and what makes it so special. Let's run through the specifications on the RC390. First of all, this is the second generation RC390 with the updated front fenders and the overall look of the bike and a couple suspension tweaks as well, which we're going to get into. Although the base of this engine and the frame has remained the same since its release in 2015, with some updates happening in 2017 for reliability. So what are we working with? The price on this machine is $57.99 MSRP. You're probably going to pay close to $6,500 to $6,800 out the door, depending on where you live. It features a 373cc single-cylinder engine making 44 horsepower and 27 foot-pounds of torque at 9,000 RPM. Now, this engine doesn't rev out a bunch, but what it does do is make progressive, linear, smooth power that's going to be great for a beginner rider or someone trying to ride this thing on track. Wet weight on this machine is 342 pounds, wet and ready to ride. The seat height is 32.3 inches, so if you are a little bit shorter, this machine may be a little bit more difficult to manage. From an ergonomics perspective, this machine is very race-oriented. The seat height is high, the pegs are high, and the handlebars are a little bit lower. It's not as bad as something like an R6, but it gets pretty close in my opinion. Another thing that's really cool about this bike is the set of features that you're getting at this price point. You're getting a TFT display, switchable ABS at the rear, adjustable suspension front and rear, and a whole other host of features that you can get on this machine. You have backlit controls on the clusters here on the handlebars, and a quick shifter up and down optional as well. So with all that being said, how does this bike actually ride? Simply put, the KTM RC390 handles like it's on rails. This is a super fun motorcycle to ride because it's so narrow, small, lightweight, and very easy to flick around. I think for the beginner rider, you're going to have a ton of fun with this thing, and it's going to make it feel that when you get on bigger bikes, you're going to feel like they don't turn or steer as easily as this thing, because they don't. I think all this bike needs is to have a sticky set of tires put on it, then you can go and really rail this thing around and enjoy it. It's a real joy to ride this motorcycle. It's got linear progressive power. The only thing that I would fault it for is the gearbox is a little sloppy in my opinion. I've always found that it finds neutral a little too easy between gears, and you really need to select down a little bit better. I wish that this bike had more of a Kawasaki style gearbox. It's just really nice and snickety, but it's just that kind of Austrian character we've come to expect from the RC390. But overall, this motorcycle handles beautifully. It's got great stopping power from the front. It's got a bi-brie brake setup, which is a subsidiary of Brembo brakes. This motorcycle is made in India as well. As you guys probably know, KTM manufactures a lot of bikes out of there, but that doesn't mean the quality is poor. Like I said, in 2017, they made this bike a whole lot better and way more reliable. It used to have a bunch of head gasket issues, but that's not the case anymore. So overall, if you're picking up this machine and you want something that's going to be fun, flickable, fast, and enjoyable, this ticks off all of those boxes. But we do have to talk about competitors to this bike. The beginner sport bike category has been pretty stacked in terms of competition in the last 5 years. So let's talk through the three main competitors that the RC390 has. So starting with the Yamaha R3, that bike is priced MSRP at $54.99, so just a little bit cheaper than the RC390. A smaller engine, but more cylinders, a 321cc twin cylinder. It's a parallel twin with a traditional 180-degree crank, making 42 horsepower and 21 foot-pounds of torque. Now, is the R3 better or worse than the RC390? Well, I think that the R3 looks a little bit cooler. It's got the R-bike styling, but ultimately, I'd probably still have the RC390. It's just a little bit more money, and you do get a lot more bang for your buck. Things start to get a little bit more complicated when you look at the Ninja 400. That bike comes in at $58.99 with ABS and with the proper paint scheme to make it look cool and all that. Features a 399cc twin cylinder, so it's a bigger engine with more cylinders. So obviously it's making more power at 48 horsepower and 27 foot-pounds of torque. So is it better or worse than the RC390? Well, I've had an RC390 as a mule bike to train on track with, but I also now race a Ninja 400, and I think the Ninja 400 ultimately is a more well-rounded package than the RC390. It's not quite as narrow and nimble and flickable, but with the Japanese reliability and the little bit of extra power you get, I think the Ninja 400 is the right call to make. But the RC390 is a really cool bike, and if you like orange and you want something Austrian, you should get the KTM RC390. RC390 also comes with adjustable suspension from the factory, which is a cool thing that the Ninja 400 does not come with. And the RC390 is a little bit cheaper too, 100 bucks, so that might be up to you. The new competitor in the category is the CF Moto 450 SS. You guys may have seen our video detailing this bike, and I was really impressed with this thing. It was kind of crazy how much you get from that machine. So it costs $54.99, so it's the same price as the R3, but you're getting a 450cc 270-degree twin. So that makes it sound a little bit different. It sounds more like the R7 and the Aprilia RS660. It does not have the kind of thumpy lawnmower sound that the RC390 has, making 50 horsepower and 29 foot-pounds of torque. So the question is that a better or worse buy than the RC390? Well, on paper, the 450 SS makes a very strong case for itself. I haven't tested that bike enough on track and over reliability to really see if it's going to be better than the RC390. So at this stage right now, for me personally, I would still choose an RC390, but I'd love to see reliability reports about the 450 SS and how it does on track to see if it can actually overcome the RC390. So it's time for me to render an opinion. Should you go out and spend your hard-earned money on a KTM RC390? I think the answer is yes. This is a really cool little entry-level beginner sport bike. It has a lot of features that you don't find in other bikes in the category. Adjustable suspension from the factory is really cool. A TFT display is really cool. Switchable rider modes is really cool. ABS in the rear. Quick shifter up and down optional is really cool as well. You don't see that in the other bikes. You have to go to the aftermarket for those things. And I just think the experience of the RC390 is very unique in this category. Everybody's going to twin-cylinder engines, trying to get more power, trying to make them bigger. And the RC390's whole ethos is lighter is better, less is more, that sort of thing. And I do think that this bike has a very soulful way of carving up corners, if I can get a little esoteric on you guys here. I had one of these as a training tool, as a track day toy for about a year. It taught me a lot. I've given one away. This is actually the third RC390 that I've owned, and I really enjoy these bikes. I think they make a ton of fun. They really put a smile on my face, and I really enjoy it, and they provide something a little bit different. If you have the chance, I do recommend you ride something like a Ninja 400 and then ride the RC390, because they actually are very different. This is much closer to a real sport bike than a Ninja 400. The ergonomics are much closer. The kind of handling is much closer. This is way more race bike than the Ninja 400 or the R3, for example. So if that's what you're looking for, I think if you want the actual creme de la creme motorcycling sport experience, the RC390 provides that in spades in such a way that the Ninja 400 doesn't really do it. If you're trying to very seriously get into track days and racing, I actually would recommend the 400 more, the Ninja 400, just because that bike has way better aftermarket support and just better parts support as a race bike than the RC390. Although this bike did have its own Cup series for a while in Moto America, which was pretty cool. But people have kind of left this one go by the wayside. People are pretty much just racing Ninja 400s now and not the RC390. But as a track day toy, as a training tool, and as a fun beginner sport bike option, I think this is the one to get. With all that being said, folks, thank you so much for watching today's video. I truly do appreciate it. Remember, if you want to win this KTM RC390, head over to yamanoob.co. It's the very last day you have to get entered to win it. We are giving away 10x entries for every dollar you spend, so make sure you go and check that out. Thank you so much for checking out today's video. What do you think about the RC390? Do you have one? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Did you get something else instead of it? Let me know in the comments down below. I truly do appreciate it. Catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Brother, I was just like you once before. I remember I was a squid. I was doing terrible things on the street, but then I found Yami Noob, and I kept watching Yami Noob, and that made me feel better. And when I got better, I stopped doing terrible things on my H2 back here. So I implore you, keep watching Yami Noob. Click subscribe. Watch the next video.